Market oversaturation is a real problem on DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub. And while at times getting good orders does come down to luck of the draw, there are some strategies that you can implement to ensure that you're working smarter than the rest of the pack, giving you the best opportunity to bag a high dollar order. While some of these will be common knowledge to more experienced drivers, make sure to stick around to the end because I can almost guarantee there will be something in this video that you did not previously consider. What is going on, everybody? My name is Zach. I hope you are doing well. Before we get into the video, if you're new here, please do consider pressing that like and subscribe button if you are kind enough to subscribe. Let me know in the comment section below. Tell me your name and the market you drive in, and I'll be sure to thank you at the end of my next ride-along video. Let's start with knowing where to wait. This first tip might seem a little weird, but you can try it and thank me later. The first thing I want you to do, if you haven't already, is download the customer app for every company you drive for. This will tell you what's open and which restaurants are running promotions. Restaurants that are running promotions will frequently have higher driver tips because the customer is paying less in delivery fees. I know for me personally, when I order DoorDash or Uber Eats, I expect to spend anywhere from $25 to $35 just for myself. So if my order comes to $22, I'm tipping that extra money to the driver. Create maps based around the time of day and day of the week. For example, create a map that you'll only look at during dinner hours on the weekends. This map should contain restaurants that are known to send you high-paying orders. Here's an example of the map that I created. While these are far from the only restaurants in my market, the pins that you see on the map are restaurants that frequently send me $20+ orders on Uber Eats and Grubhub. On the weekends, you are going to want to position yourself as central as possible to as many of those restaurants as you can. Actually visualizing this helped me realize that I am not necessarily waiting in the best possible place on the weekends. This is usually where I'm waiting. However, this is probably where I should be waiting, because this, and this is just a hop, skip, and a jump away. Now that we have our dinner map created, you should also create one for breakfast and lunch. If I'm driving for breakfast, I'm going to be waiting in a completely different area of the city. Now for the last map I want you to create. I want you to open your customer app and look through the various restaurants. Add every restaurant that you go to that sends you decent orders on the custom map. This specific map should be used when it's not as busy. When it's not so busy, usually it is the closest available driver that gets the order. So you're going to want to position yourself as close to as many of those restaurants as you possibly can. It's also worth knowing which restaurants are on which apps. We'll be getting into that in just a moment. If you drive for more than one app, and you should, have a different strategy for DoorDash versus Uber Eats versus Grubhub. The way you approach each one of these apps should be different from the next. For example, out of the big three, DoorDash consistently sends me the lowest paying offers. So when I accept one of them, I would like to see $7 or $8, only going a couple of miles at a restaurant that I know is going to be ready. Essentially, with DoorDash, I'm looking for fast orders with low turnaround times. Now with Uber, I am okay going a little further because I know I'm typically going to make more money. Not to mention, Uber does pay us for mileage. And for the last of the big three, Grubhub. I typically only tend to accept Grubhub orders when it's completely dead out, and that's the only offer I've seen in a while. Or on the weekends when it is completely slammed and they're sending out massive offers. The reason I choose my Grubhub times wisely is because they have horrendous wait times, and I know I'm going to be waiting at a restaurant for sometimes 20 or 30 minutes for an order. If you're driving for Grubhub, make sure that the amount that you're getting paid is worth 30 minutes of your time. Let's move on to my next point. Unassigned lowball double offers. I'm going to start with DoorDash and then I'll move into Uber Eats. DoorDash has a bad habit of sticking a low or no tip offer with a decent order. Don't forget to check to make sure both customers tipped appropriately. If you don't know how to check that, I'll pin a comment down below. Now that we know approximately what both customers have tipped, if you don't like the amount that one of them is tipping, consider unassigning that specific customer's order. If you don't know how to do that, I'll leave a pinned comment down below. You're typically getting a double for one of two reasons. Number one, because one of the people tipped like shit, or number two, because it's busy. If it's the latter and one of those people left an insulting tip or no tip at all, ditch the order with no or a low tip. If it was busy enough to send you a double in the first place, your chances of getting another order are pretty good. I can't tell you how many times I've assigned a low or a no tip order only to immediately get another offer that had a good tip on it. Personally, I'm not a fan of doubles. However, if they are picking up at the same restaurant and they're going within a mile or so of each other, sure, it's a good way to make some extra money. If you are going to unassign part of a double, pay close attention to the pickup time. If you're within 5 minutes of the pickup time, your chances of them sending you another offer are slim to none. Having said that, if your pickup time is about 10 minutes away and you unassign one of those orders, you stand a very good chance of getting another offer. Now let's move on to Uber Eats. Let's say you got a double. One of them is picking up from a steakhouse and the other one's picking up from a McDonald's. Gross! Unfortunately, to the best of my knowledge, there is not a way to check and see which customer tipped what. So you're gonna have to make an educated guess with which order you keep and which one you unassign. Know when to unassign orders. Before I forget, if you're on DoorDash, make sure your completion rate stays at or above 80%. If you fall below that, you can get deactivated. Having said all that, sometimes it is in your best interest to unassign orders. Here are a couple of examples why you may want to unassign an order. If the restaurant is backed up and they're saying it's going to be 30 or 40 minutes, it might be Saturday night. You need to ask yourself if you're willing to wait 30 or 40 minutes. Is that order worth the wait? If the order is worth it, keep it. If not, consider unassigning it or turning on additional apps and seeing if you get something better sent to you. That brings me perfectly into my next point. Get activated on as many apps as you can. The more apps you're on, the more offers you get. The more offers you get, the more high-paying offers you have to choose from. I can't speak for you guys, but I am not above unassigning an order because I got a better order on another app. I'm doing this to make money for me, not to make the companies rich. There's another driver down the street that will gladly take the order I just unassigned. Okay, moving on. Know when to drive. A lot of us drive for lunch and for dinner. However, lunch typically doesn't have many epic orders. Usually, during lunch, people are ordering just enough food for themselves. The way the apps work is they present the customer with a suggested tip based on a percentage of the customer's total order value. I'm not saying you cannot get good orders during lunch. You will just typically see higher value orders during dinner. In my experience, the exception to this is Fridays. On Friday afternoons, I will frequently get orders with a high order value going to businesses. Usually this happens when the company is buying the team lunch. When they use the company credit card, there is typically a pretty good driver tip associated with those orders. Since we've determined that you're driving during lunch, position yourself wisely. Remember those maps we talked about a little bit ago? Consider opening those up and looking for the highest concentration of restaurants in a small area and get as close to as many of them as you can. Fast food orders are very common during lunch. Ultimately, it's up to you if you want to do several fast food runs during lunch or if you want to do one or two very good orders during lunch. The next thing I want to bring to your attention. Don't accept orders expecting a hidden tip. I don't care how fancy the restaurant is or how much food they ordered. You're setting yourself up for disappointment. Don't miss out on orders because you weren't prepared. There are restaurants in my market that will not give you that order unless you come in with a hot and or cold bag. Imagine how bad it would suck to get a $25 order, but you can't do it because you didn't bring in a bag. Also, be prepared to pay for parking. You should keep enough change hidden in your car that you can pay for parking if you get an order going downtown. You don't want to have to turn around and spend all that money you just got for that epic order on a parking ticket. The final thought I have on being prepared is to keep enough gas in your car that you could drive 50 miles, or enough to get to the end of your market and back. I do realize that sometimes it's just nonstop, and you do have to stop to get gas when you have an order in the car. If this is the case, I'm going to teach you a little hack where your customers won't be able to tell you're getting gas. Put your phone on airplane mode. This will make it so your customer does not know where you've stopped. Just don't forget to turn airplane mode off after you're done getting gas. The final thing I want to touch on is hidden tips. I am a firm believer that you should never accept an order because you're expecting to see a hidden tip. If the initial amount that was displayed to you is not enough to make you do the order, don't do the order. Having said that, if it's a weekend during dinner and you see that there's a large number of items ordered from a fancy restaurant, that may have a hidden tip. If you were okay with the amount that they initially showed you, you might want to go ahead and do the order because you might get a pleasant surprise when you've completed the delivery. Well, that about wraps up the video. If you have any tips that I didn't touch on, please share them with the community in the comment section below. If you haven't done so yet, please do press the like and subscribe button. If you are kind enough to subscribe, let me know in the comment section. Tell me your name, the market you drive in, and I'll be sure to thank you at the end of my next ride-along video. My name is Zach. Catch you soon.